Don't referendums favour one side of the political divide, the left or the right?
People sometimes think that referendums are tools of the far right or tools of the far left. But the truth is, if you study more than 100 years of voting on ballot propositions, is what ballot propositions do is they favor the groups that are not in power. And what that means is that if you have a city or a state or a country where the right is in power, what's going to happen is you're going to see left or progressive groups using the initiative. If you have a city, state, or a country where the left is in power, you're going to see conservative or right-wing groups using the initiative. It's basically a tool for individuals who are not currently in power to get their views out in front of the public. So you'll see, for example, in the United States, you'll see that in the 70s and 80s, the initiative was a very favored tool by anti-tax groups. And that's because the governments in many parts of the country were dominated by pro-spending groups. But if you go back farther in the country's history to the early 20th century, that was a period when anti-spending groups were in control of the government, and you saw the initiatives being used by progressive groups to bring about social insurance programs and so forth. So it's very much situational. It's just a tool for groups that are out of power to get their issues before the public. And even if you look in the last few years within, say, the United States, you'll see anti-tax groups putting measures on the ballot. You'll see groups that would like to define marriage to be only between a man and a woman, that is, who are not in favor of same-sex marriage. You'll see them promoting their issues. At the same time, you'll see left-wing groups who are for marijuana legalization or who are for expanded animal rights, who are promoting initiatives as well and finding success. So if you actually look at what happens, you'll see that it's across the spectrum. But the common theme is that it's groups that really don't have the ear of the legislature right now that tend to use ballot propositions. And the fact that the initiative provides an avenue for groups that aren't in power or don't have the ear of the legislature, I think is a very healthy part of the process, because it can often happen that the people in power they talk to each other. They're often from the same social groups. They might miss out on something that's happening amongst the voters, and just kind of develop a tin ear. And sometimes the initiative process is a way for people to say, you know what, there's this issue you guys aren't even paying attention to that maybe we actually care a lot about. And one example I would give recently in the United States is marijuana legalization, which is an issue where neither party has wanted to touch that issue. Both parties were very strongly against marijuana legalization, and they thought that the voters were very strongly against marijuana legalization, because the voters for many, many years have been against marijuana legalization. But what we've seen happen in the last couple of years alone is that the voters have changed their minds. The voters are now saying, you know what, we don't mind legalizing marijuana in a particularly controlled way. And I think this came as a big shock to a lot of legislators as they saw voters start to approve these things. The feedback effect from this will be that now legislatures on their own will start looking more carefully into this issue, going back to their districts and asking their constituents, you know, what do you guys really want to have happen here? And it may well lead to a change in policy across the country. So I'm not saying that the policy itself is good or bad, but I think in democracy we should all view it as healthy that when there's a change of opinion, a change of public opinion, that there's an opportunity for it to get registered and reflected in the policies. And I think the initiative provides a somewhat unique and distinctive tool that isn't available if all you have is representatives.